The newly released Electro Archon, the Raiden Shogun, might be one of the most confusing existences in Genshin Impact, in part due to her many names and titles. Regarding the Archons, it kind of seems to be on an upwards trend since Venti had 2, Zhongli had 3, and now Raiden Shogun technically has 6. So in this video, I'm going to try to explain what each one means in both the context of the game and real-life cultural inspirations. Also, if you're here, I'm assuming you already read the title and are prepared to hear Inazuma Archon Quest Act 3 spoilers. But with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Let's start with Raiden Shogun, which is what the playable character is referred to by. Raiden is her surname and is a Japanese word that literally translates to thunder and lightning, but can also refer to Raijin, the Shinto religion's god of thunder. He is typically depicted with a ring of taiko drums that he plays to create the sound of thunder. This can be seen as a design detail on the Inazuma Statue of the Seven, Inazuma Vision Casing, and Raiden Shogun's Chakra Desiderata ability. These drums also are usually shown to have the tomoe on them, 3 of which make the Mitsudomoe symbol that can be seen all over Raiden Shogun's visual design. The Shogun part refers to the title of a Japanese military dictator. Shoguns typically had a group of officials under them, collectively known as the Bakufu or Shogunate in English. In-game, the Tri-Commission, consisting of Kanjo, Tenryo, and Yashiro, seem to be inspired by the Sanbugyo of the Tokugawa Shogunate. Within the lore, Raiden Shogun is the name of the puppet that acts as the permanent physical body of Ei. The Raiden Shogun has her own independent consciousness with the sole focus of pursuing eternity, and thus is severely lacking in emotions. Narukami Ogosho is essentially just a different way of saying Raiden Shogun. Narukami is another Japanese word for thunder, albeit a bit more dated, while Ogosho is a title referring to a retired shogun that is still ruling. I don't think the latter distinction is relevant since her in-game profile seems to suggest it's interchangeable, but it does seem like it's supposed to be a more old-fashioned way of referring to her. I'm basing that off the fact that it is prevalently used in recounts of the past, such as the Mask of Kijin item description and the Sangonomiya Chronicles text. The Narukami part could also be referring to the island, since it is where she has the most presence in all of Inazuma. Raiden Ei is the true Electro Archon. Leaving her puppet to act as a vessel, she stowed herself away to be alone in her plane of euthymia, where she could meditate and avoid erosion, thus maintaining eternity. Unlike the Shogun, she has a rather emotive and friendly personality. Ei literally means shadow, but there's another kanji with the same reading that means eternity, though this might just be a coincidence. Shadow is still quite fitting though, considering how she's the mastermind behind the Raiden Shogun puppet, and with how she secretly assumed the identity of her sister. In fact, the same kanji is used in Kagemusha, the Japanese word for a body double. And of course, the similarity to Raiden Mei, the Hersher of Thunder in Honkai Impact 3rd, is surely not a coincidence. Raiden Makoto is Ei's twin sister, the original Electro Archon. After winning the Archon War together, Ei became Makoto's Kagemusha. The two acted as a single ruler, but complemented each other well, making there no reason to reveal the truth to the public. When Makoto died 500 years ago during the Cataclysm though, Ei assumed full responsibility for the shogunate and continued to rule under the identity of her sister. This is why Ganyu says that Morax and Barbatos are the only ones remaining of the original 7, but to the Inazumans, their Archon has been the same since the beginning. Makoto literally means truth or reality, reflecting her status as the original Electro Archon who used her own identity. Similar to the Archon names of Barbatos and Morax, everyone believes the Electro Archon's name to be Baal. This of course also refers to the identity of Makoto. These 3 names as well as Paimon can be traced back to the 72 demons of the Lesser Key of Solomon, a grimoire on demonology from the 17th century. Ei's equivalent name, Beelzebul, is not found here, but is related to Baal in a different way. According to Judaism, Beelzebul was an angel who later became a demon. The source of the name, Baal Zebul, means Lord of the Heavenly Dwelling, but later began to be referred to as Baal Zebub, meaning Lord of the Flies, as a way of mocking the followers of Baal. So basically they were suggesting that Baal was poo and that his followers were like flies. In Genshin, Beelzebul and Baal were on much better terms, so I think the cultural significance is just that these two figures did have a connection to one another. Overall, I don't think this naming scheme is too difficult to understand and is actually quite interesting. but it definitely is a bit overwhelming at first. If you didn't quite catch everything, here is my best attempt at making a visual diagram. Side note, referring to the character as Baal may not be the most technically accurate, but in a sense it isn't wrong, and it is spoiler free, so I don't mind it. I'm hoping that Sumeru isn't as confusing, but what we know so far leads me to think that some wild stuff is going on there. Anyways, I hope this video was informative for you, and as always, thank you for watching. You did what? You did what? What do you mean? Yeah, I had the same reaction, Paimon.